Is up, everybody? How we doing today? It is Monday. I got something new out here going on. We're gonna give it a shot. We'll see what happens. Got a few people online already. I am going to try and conference in once we get rolling here. I'm going to try to conference in a special guest. So bear with me for a minute. So bear with me a minute. Um, like I say, I'm doing this on my laptop. I've done it on my phone where I conference people in. That may be the trick, actually. Hmm. I will see. We shall see. There he is, right there. Hmm. Rick, hold tight. I am not sure if I can conference you in from my laptop. I think maybe I could only do that from my phone. Hmm. All right. Well, let's roll. Let us roll. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a great weekend. I sure did. And 900 of my friends did too. Um, how many people, raise your hand, how many people went to work this morning with bright, sunny blue skies and light winds and thought to themselves, you gotta be kidding me? I went out fishing this morning with my buddy Paul Messina. We're going to try and get back on our regular Monday schedule. And it felt good to just be back out there. We're out there. I mean, the lake was glass this morning when we got out at 7:30. And I said to him first thing, doesn't it kind of figure that that it's beautiful now? It was a little sporty Saturday, especially more than Sunday. Um, I tell you, but in the grand scheme of things, we had a safe weekend. There were no issues. Um, so all in all, and we had some big fish show up. Had some big fish show up. We had 3 fish over 24 inches last year, if you remember correctly. We had 2 fish tied or we had a tie for first, and the tiebreaker broke it. But the tie was 2 fish at 24 inches. Um, we had 3 fish this year over 24, 24 and a quarter in third place, 26 and a half in second, and 27 and a quarter for first. Now, everybody sees the name Donna Donchak on there. Uh, that's Rick Donchik. I'm assuming that's his wife's YouTube account. Rick is our champion, our big fish winner for the 2024 Walleye Fest, the second annual Walleye Fest. This is our second one already. And Rick came in with just a beauty of a fish on Saturday afternoon. My wife, Courtney, and Tammy Hoover were both working at the measuring station. Why does my head seem to be cocked over to the one side? Um, they both measured it and checked it in for Rick. And Courtney immediately called me and she's like, oh my God, we just measured the leading fish, the new number one. Yeah. Um, Sorry, I was just looking at Merlin's comment right there. He was staying out to Anglers Bay Cottage and he had to pull his boat Saturday night because of the winds. And um, so I'm gonna try one more time here to see if I can. Yeah, it doesn't. Note to self: if I want to have somebody come on with me, um, I got to do it on my phone, and I'm doing this on my laptop. Also, for everybody to see, so I got this new banner. We got it for WalleyeFest, obviously, as you can see, and we were going to take all the pictures with it yesterday, and it was chaos. It really was. All day Sunday, it was pouring rain, so we couldn't do the award ceremony outdoors at Bruton Speedway like we planned. So we very quickly changed it back to the pier where we were Friday night. So everybody could be indoors. We never had time to hang the banner. We took all the pictures, but we never had time to hang the banner. But this is our banner. And you can see some of our incredible sponsors. One thing I want to do is I want to go through the sponsors. I want to go through the winners again. And I've been working all day on payouts, so I haven't done any housekeeping yet as far as getting the leaderboards are online. They have been the whole time. They are on the WalleyeFest website, and oddly enough, bear with me, they are not on the leaderboards tab. You go to the buy tickets tab, the Derby tickets tab. It'll bring you to the black screen, and up in the top right hand corner, there is a little box with 3 white lines in it. You click on that, and it'll give you dashboard or leaderboard. Click on leaderboard, and all of the leaderboards are there. And it's not just the top 25 and then the top 2 for each of the optionals this year. It is everybody that weighed a fish in. You're in ranked order, and we'll keep it that way. It'll be up there for your name is up on the website with your catch. So I thought that was pretty cool. So Edward Mann, his comment was, thanks, Matt, for all your hard work. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Did the winner share how he caught the monster? He didn't, and I didn't ask him. And I've been asked multiple times. We were going to go through that this evening. I was going to have him come on with me, do a split screen. I can't do it from my laptop. I have to do it from my phone. I didn't realize that at the time. So I've already started the live. So we'll put Rick to next Monday, and we'll bring him on live. I'll make sure I do it on my phone, and everything will be copacetic because I want to talk. If you weren't at the weigh-ins at the awards ceremony yesterday, then you wouldn't know Rick. And I'll give a little bit of the story. Rick is from Pennsylvania. He's been coming up here with his family since he was a child for almost 50 years, he said. He's been fishing the Lions Club Derby in the old days for years and years, never placed. Caught that big monster Saturday afternoon, broke his rod while he was in the course of the events, which comes in handy because he won a brand spanking new, beautiful JT rods, JTX 7'1", mag medium, mag light. It's just an incredible jig and stick. and I can't wait to hear and see the pictures of some of the fish Rick catches with that new rod. Thank you so much to our tremendous sponsor, JT Rods. They are incredible and they make the best rods in the business. Their slogan is "Be Legendary," and now I put 3 brand new JT rods in winners' hands yesterday. Rick was one of them, and the yellow perch board and the panfish board both got 6'6" JT Panhandler ultralight rods. Darcy Simmons is the lady that won the yellow perch division with a 13 and a quarter inch yellow perch that she caught with Captain Jason out of Real Easy. No, not Real Easy. Real Natural Guide Service. And also Steve Raymond, who won the panfish division with, I think that was a crappie at 11 and 3/4 inches long. Also got a brand new ultralight panfish rod. I can't wait. I don't like to say that. I'm excited to see pictures in the future of some of the catches they bring in with it. Just outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Let's look real quick and see who's here with us. I'll put my old guy glasses on. Merlin Johnson, Scott Lees, Eric E. Tricks, Keith Horns, what's up, my brother? Rick Donchik, Don Terry, Tammy Hoover. Tammy, thank you so much for your help. Thank you for being my wife's partner measuring. It was outstanding, and I couldn't have done it without all my volunteers and David, Tammy, Bill Morey, Scott White, Rob Yurchik, all helped out at the measuring stations, and I couldn't be more grateful for all of you. Fantastic, and love it. Mike Schultz, Northeast Elite Fishing. I like the name of that. I like the sounds of that. Michael Hoover, how you doing? Thanks for lending us your wife Saturday, Mike. Eric, did the 27 and a quarter end up winning? It sure did. It sure did. Thankfully, it was raining in PA today. I know we needed to. We're going to get it all the rest of the week. Today and tomorrow, today was beautiful. Tomorrow's supposed to be gorgeous. By Wednesday, it starts to go downhill. By Friday, it's in the low 50s in rain all the way to Monday. My wife, it was 4 inches bigger than the fish that was in first place at the time. Yeah. Yeah. And we had a little bit more excitement on Sunday morning when Hayden Newcomb, and this was an important fish for Hayden because Hayden was also registered in the best 5 optional leaderboard, and Hayden brought in a 26.5-inch fish to take over second place from Paul Newton, who had a 24 and a quarter. And that big fish of Hayden's, he only beat out the second place in the best 5 by just over an inch. So he didn't have any room to spare. Excellent job. We'll get to all that in 1 second. John Karnowski, how you doing, neighbor? So Edward, I read it a second ago. Edman said, did the winner share how he caught that monster? And 2 things down from it he said he caught the fish in 3 foot of water. From a boat too, in 3 foot of water. E-Tricks, what a smartass. Ed says, did the winner share how he caught that monster? He said, probably with a rod and reel. Everybody likes a little ass, just not a smart ass. Bill Morey, how you doing, buddy? Couldn't help myself. I know you couldn't, Eric. Bill Gilbert, how you doing? Tim Graver, I saw you today. The bite was better over the weekend than today. Yeah, I hadn't been able to see my buddy Paul in a couple of weeks. He was on vacation and I had everything going on. And like I say, normally we get together every Monday morning and go fishing somewhere. Um, and so when I saw him yesterday when he was leaving the awards ceremony, I was a little things were starting to get a little fritzy when you go that long without sleep. And but the first thing I looked at him and he looked at me and I said, "Hey, let's go fishing in the morning." And he's like, "I'll be there." And I told him 7 a.m., which for me is late. Normally, I'm out either right before or right at daybreak. I am an early morning riser. It's not that I don't sleep. I just don't need a lot of sleep. Um, and once I'm up, I'm up. I can't lay in bed. It's just not in me anymore. Um, and when I was younger, I could, but not so much anymore. But I wanted to give myself a little bit of time this morning. So I slept in till it was almost 6 a.m. this morning. Felt like forever, but it was almost 6 a.m. Um, Keith Horan says, wasn't the over under 28? I got to remember. Does anybody else remember what we did? Because that was a couple weeks ago and we talked about what the over under was going to be. I thought we said 27. Because 28's a big number on this lake. That fish was an outstanding fish. Outstanding. Brian Albanese. So Brian, I got all my list right here. Brian took second place in the yellow perch division with a 12 and 3/4 inch perch. And Brian's comment right there, thankful for the perch category. Never caught so many perches I have in the past week. You're welcome. I listen, things are going to change. We're going to have some fluid conversation. Some of these these optional leaderboards might go away. We might add some different ones. I'm thinking, it's funny. I saw all the pictures this weekend of guys trying to catch walleyes and got into wicked pickerel bites. I thought long and hard about doing yellow perch and pickerel as opposed to panfish as an optional and have pickerel as an optional leaderboard. I thought long and hard about that one. And the only reason I didn't was, and listen, a 32-inch pickerel is a big pickerel. And the reason I say 32 inches because most people's bump boards are 32 inches long if you're a walleye fisherman. Now, if you get into any of the Esox species that are longer or long and thin, pickerel, northern pike, tiger muskie, regular muskie, that kind of thing, you need a longer board. And I didn't want to have to do that. So we didn't do it. But it would be fun. I mean, I saw people catching and send me pictures. People sent me pictures, and I saw Facebook posts of competitors or participants that were out there and just killing the pickerel. We'll see. We shall see in the future. But Tammy Hoover says, it was my pleasure. Courtney is awesome. You ain't kidding. She is awesome. Perch and pickerel, we smashed it. Ended up with a perch on the board and a 27-inch pickerel. That's awesome. Northeast Elite Fishing. Caught a ton of fish, met some great folks, and totally enjoyed the weekend. That's what it's all about. And we gave out a lot of money, a pile of money. John Jiggin Rat Burrows. John, you can't call him Bad Luck Drew anymore. He's placed multiple times in this derby. Drew Welke is who our friend is affectionately calling Bad Luck Drew. Now, Drew didn't have a partner this weekend. There were some things that went on. And when I saw him Friday night, he's like, I'm going to fish from shore a little bit somewhere. I don't even actually know where he was. Um, the only fish he said he caught when I saw him yesterday, the only fish he said he caught all weekend long was 23 and a quarter inches. It was good for $440 and eighth place in the main board. You can't call him Bad Luck Drew ever again. I'm officially changing it to Good Luck Drew. There you go, Drew. Um, let's see. Yeah, Bill Morey. I'd have bought into a pickerel board. I know, me too. Northeast Elite Fishing. We got time. We got time. And one thing I want to say is, nothing. Things don't necessarily stay the same. And you could put things in a rotation. You could do it one year, not do it the next year. Stay tuned. I have a lot of plans for WalleyeFest to do more than just one weekend in the spring a year. Carl Lamana. This is an interesting question Carl's asking. Um, any talk of extending the Walleye Fest next year to allow for a few more good days weather-wise? So here's what that would look like. I can tell you right now. Here's what that would look like. Now, on the technical side of life and on the technology side of life, my two web designers have a pretty good set of marching orders right now as to what I want to see in the future. And the future is now. We're not shelving this until next year. I can tell you that right now. They are still actively and diligently working. They're still actively and diligently working to fix the things that we didn't have right this time, and that we're still figuring out the bugs on. Couple things are going to happen. Last year when I took this over, and we worked with Mark Webb, our one of our other web designers, I was getting a lot of feedback from the general population that not everybody had an email address, and that is your best and easiest way to uniquely identify a participant in something. And without that, because we allowed somebody to be able to buy multiple tickets for other people, we still had to have a way to uniquely identify each person, which is what we came up with these usernames, which I will say a lot of people had a lot of fun with those usernames. And I'm glad. I am glad. One of the things we're going to have to do is do away with being able to buy multiple tickets unless it's for a youth only, on 15 years or younger. That will still be in play, and that's an easy way to do that. One thing that will have to change is everyone's going to have their own email address, and then it'll just be a one-click, buy everything you want, check out, log in, done. That's it. So that's one of the things. Also, what is going to happen here shortly is I would like to keep this going year-round in a virtual setting. Right now it's May. We've already started May. I'd like to have a monthly board, maybe even a weekly board within the month, and just do something simple. Biggest walleye of the month or biggest walleye of the week. There would be no measuring stations. It would just be ongoing for the whole month, and it would only be available if you were doing it virtually with the bump board and submitting your picture. Which I will say, there was a couple snafus with that, but for the most part, it was the easiest part of the weekend was putting fish in. So that is something that is going to happen. I'm not going to tell you it's being thought about. It's going to happen. Now, can I get it up and running by June? We'll see. But it's in the works. Now, everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody. Most people are familiar with like the Lake Erie Fall Brawl. And they have a big derby out there, tournament, whatever you want to call it. So that is something that I would like to do here. And I can tell you already, tentatively, it would be the first weekend in November. Be 6 months apart from WalleyeFest weekend. And that one we might do a full-blown weekend again, with measuring stations and the whole 9 yards. We'll see about that. But there is going to be an event in the fall. We're going to have ongoing leaderboards throughout the year, all the way through ice season if we get one. If we have safe ice, I can tell you right now, we are going to have an ice derby. Absolutely 100%. If we have good, safe ice this winter, WalleyeFest will be hosting an ice fishing derby. You can put that in the books. So also, we are looking to expand once we have this here on this lake absolutely nailed down and exactly the way we want it. My partner and I, my brother in arms, Chuck Orlando, who I wouldn't or couldn't do this without him. We want to expand into other bodies of water in New York State and beyond in the future. And we want to take WalleyeFest to places where walleye fishing has never been, and really bring it to the people all across the walleye belt here in North America. I know we got a bunch of comments going on here, so we're gonna dig into it here a little bit. So Carl, to answer your question, to follow back up on it, yes. Extending WalleyeFest, yes. And if you extended a weekend event, like I say, whether it would have to be before the in-person, so let's say a normal weekend, we would fish Saturday, Sunday. If the season were open, now so next year's WalleyeFest is May 3rd and 4th. And so Saturday's the 3rd. That means Thursday's opening day. So in a year like that, you could theoretically go, okay, we'll open it up virtually from the start of the season until the weekend. That could be possible without weigh stations. It would have to be done virtually. In 2 years, in 2027. In 2027, opening day will be our Saturday of our derby. So you wouldn't be able to extend it that year because that is the opening day. And you can't really extend it on the end because you got to do the award ceremony. And that's a big deal. And I love doing that. I love handing people stuff. I love seeing the look on their faces. I just love it. So yeah, Carl, the answer to your question is yes, it could be possible. 6 out of 7 years, it would be absolutely possible to start it as much as so. In 2028, opening day will be a Sunday, and we don't do our derby one day. We do it the opening weekend, which would be the following week. And so that year, the first would be on a Sunday. You could theoretically open it that day and have it go all the way through, and that one would be a full week, and 5 of those days would be virtual, and then the last 2 would be with weigh stations and the whole to-do and whatnot, and so that's absolutely possible. That's an outstanding idea. Never really thought of that until now. Rick Donchek, I was using a paddle tail jig spinner for all to know. Rick, do you mean a jig head with the little blade on, like an underspin with a swim bait on it? You have to put up with all the toothy critters, pickerel, to get through to the walleyes. The girls at the way station were great. Thanks. Yeah, they enjoyed it, Rick. Um, Keith Horan says you could do pickerel only measured at an on water station. It's funny. Somebody asked me about how come we don't have a boat or boats out there, like official boats that could go around and and weigh, not weigh, and measure your fish on the water. And my very first thought was no, because I could just see transferring that fish from one boat to another on a rough day, and it boom, and all of a sudden it's gone, and the guy could be out, or girl, or the angler could be out serious. I don't want to. That seems like it would be logistically way too hard to do. But they could bring, like, I've got 48-inch bump boards that they could easily bring. Pickerel could be have to bring it to a measuring station only. Awesome idea. And I really wanted pickerel this year. I just didn't know how to do it. And we're talking through it right now. Like, you guys are seeing my process on how I do these things and how they come up and the thought process along it. Like, it took me weeks to go through all the different scenarios to come to what we had this year. So we'll see. Bill Gilbert, what happens to the tagged fish for the boat? Does that continue? It does not. That is so the tagged fish, if anybody's ever, I don't know if I've ever really explained this as well as I should. And I'm going to say other thing. Some of the criticisms that have been pointed my way are absolutely valid. And I know that, and I'm working on it, but some of the stuff I just simply didn't have time to do, and most of which was done by me. So there was a lot of it. We're getting there. We're getting there. More coverage of it, more, for the people that aren't in it. And it's funny, most of the people that wanted that were upset with not having more coverage of it weren't in it. Which I thought was a little strange, although they still wanted to watch and see it. So we definitely will do a better job with multimedia, social media, and video production in the coming years. And I hear you, and I promise. As far as, real quickly, about the tagged fish, if any of you have ever been in golf tournaments or whatever, like where there's win a car if you hit a hole in one or whatever. Although that's a little different scenario with fishing, but it's the same situation because you have to go. There are insurance companies out there that only handle these kind of promotions, and our amazing sponsor, Krenzer Marine, right there, Starcraft Marine. Right there. They both combined, and they're the ones the last 2 years that have bought the policy for that beautiful 166 Storm DC Starcraft $40,000 boat. So they go to that promotional insurance company and they buy the insurance policy that covers the tagged fish if somebody catches it and wins the boat. Now, for the last 2 years, the same insurance company, and they require that I tag 20 fish. And so for those of you out there fishing for them, you have to catch a tagged fish. And then at the award ceremony, if a tagged fish had been caught, I would open it just like Pat Sajak does at the end of Wheel of Fortune. And then I would know, I would say, okay, and the winning tag number is, so you would have to catch the tag fish and have that tag number match what the insurance company gives in a sealed envelope. Um, so it's incredibly difficult, and the odds, if someone were to do mathematically do the odds, I'm sure would be astronomical. But there's still a chance. And there are 20 fish swimming around out there with little little blue plastic tags in them, and they're numbered 301 to 320. Um, they're not worth anything now. They weren't worth any. As soon as the Derby ended, so did they. Um, if anybody catches one, I would love to see it and have some pictures of it. So far, as best I know, no one caught any from last year throughout the year. Um, and in the future, I will say my biggest goal for this Derby, my absolute biggest goal, is to get to a point in the coming years, sooner than later, where WalleyeFest is giving out boats, vehicles, truck, guaranteed big ticket prizes for first place. That's my goal. Like, I want to give away, guaranteed, I want to give away a boat every year, minimum. And I'm in talks already with my incredible sponsor, Starcraft Marine, um, to see what we have to do to make that happen. And that to me is exciting. Like, that is, I want to see somebody standing in front of a brand new boat um, that they just won. Could you imagine? I can't. I mean, I've never won a lot of stuff. Like, I used to go to the Ducks Unlimited dinners um, all the time and do all the raffles and stuff. And I think one time I won a duck call. It's just doesn't seem to be my forte to be lucky in those kind of things. I have friends of mine that could buy one ticket and win, and win something every time. I'm not necessarily that way, but I would love to see. Imagine if Rick Donchik was towing home a brand new boat yesterday after he caught his big fish. Um, that's where I want to get to. That's where I want to be. So that was Bill Gilbert. What happens at a tag fair? Bill Morey loved my username. Hope I can keep it. Yeah, I believe that that's going to be the case going forward. We have everybody settled. Um, sorry. Okay. Don Terry, October Perch Brawl. That would be awesome too. Yeah, they're so that's the thing. And again, I'm not downplaying people's feelings whatsoever. And I know that there are some people out there that are not happy with me because I've changed some things. And I was thinking about it today when I was mowing my lawn. That's kind of my quiet, reflective time, is when I get to mow the lawn. I mow it every 3 days, whether it needs it or not. Um, I like to mow lawn. And I thought to myself, I think maybe last year when we started talking about WalleyeFest, I think that's when I originally gave people, I think maybe I spoke out of turn. And I think what I said was that we are taking over the Lions Club Derby. And so I think that made a lot of people think that we were like the Lions Club, which is a not for profit charitable organization. That's not the case. And I think that threw people right off the bat. And by saying that we took over that Derby, I think I set the intention in people's head that it would never change. Um, and honestly, I'm sorry about that. And I don't know anything that doesn't change. Um, does everybody remember the old days buying your fishing license or your hunting license, and you got a piece of paper and they put a stamp on it and you had to sign across the stamp? And that's gone because that's a manual way of doing it. And we don't live in a manual world anymore. And I have some ideas on how to get the tackle shops back involved with ticket sales. So we'll see about rolling that out in the future. I have some ideas there. Matter of fact, we came up with one. My friend Paul Messina and I came up with one this morning, and it was really a very good idea. I didn't think of it before, but I've got some time, and because believe me, I reached out to every local tackle shop there is on this lake and had conversations with each and every one of the owners. And some of them were interested and some weren't, and that's their prerogative. Um, and so I worked with the ones that were interested. And I will tell you that if you've watched any of my videos over the last 5 years, anybody that says that I don't that I don't support local is lying. Period. I've supported local since the day I started. I know some of these people, some I've met along the way. I am a former small tackle shop owner myself. Um, so I absolutely do know, and I do everything in my power to get everybody a taste of something. Um, so keep that in mind when you hear things out there in the world that aren't the same as what I'm saying to you. That's the truth. And I can show proof if I ever needed to of all those conversations, you know. Um, and when I moved the measuring stations out of the tackle shops this year, um, it's because I want to make sure that our Derby does everything humanly possible to care for our fish and our fishery and to not have to kill these big fish. The whole idea of virtual entry on there is in the hopes, and I don't tell people what to do ever. Um, and you caught that fish legally, you can do what you want legally to the law. And so if that means after you measure it, it gets filleted and brought home and enjoyed, wonderful. If you're on the fence and you're like, I'm out here looking for a big one and I caught it, but now when I bring it in, chances are by the time you bring it off the water into a bucket, into your truck, down the road, going to a tackle shop, by the time that thing's waiting, it might be alive there when it gets there, which it needs to be, but it might not be alive by the time you get back. And then you have zero option of letting that fish go if you want to. So virtual entry is the way of the future. That is the way, virtually on the water. And that way, it's a much simpler scenario if you were so inclined to let that fish go after you've caught it. Because like this year, we didn't kill, in the name of the Derby, we didn't kill any fish this year. So all those big fish weren't killed just to stand there and hold up at the end. And I'm proud of that. I'm absolutely proud of that. Fishermen are the stewards of the fish, and hunters and fishermen spend more money in the outdoors. They have more of a vested interest than most normal people. And I believe that it is our responsibility as anglers, as tournament participants, as tournaments to make sure we care for these fish and our resources as much as humanly possible. That's my soapbox moment, but that's everything I do, and everything that we do with WalleyeFest moving forward is going to be conservation minded and what is in the best interest of the fish, not necessarily what's in our best interest. How do we maintain our resource? How do we have the ability every year to go out and search and fish for the monsters in our lake? Because the following year, if you kill all them, yeah, there's always more fish and there's always going to be big ones. But there'll be more big ones, and the gene pool that those fish pass on, that they've been, listen, our lake is I don't want to say it's a put and take fishery. We have way too big a population for it to be put and take, but it is hatchery based. It is the brood stock for all of New York State. And those fish that come out of the hatchery in egg form, in fry form, in juvenile form, in adult form, those fish go and populate all of New York State waters that get walleyes. So I'd rather have that 27 and a quarter inch fish back in there so it can spawn again, because for whatever reason, genetically, who knows, instinctual, it was able to survive longer than 75, 80% of its counterparts in that lake. So I'm looking to always do what's right for the fish, and then we'll figure out how to make it right and fun for the angler. Northeast Elite Fishing. Maybe when you purchase your main board ticket, you also get an email at WalleyeFest.com. Have your own domain for WalleyeFest. I think I already have my own domain somewhere. And yes, you're right. It is on the list of things to do. Trying to keep. We had a terrible problem with. Now, listen. A lot of stuff gets into your junk folder, your spam filter. We had a lot of problems with our emails that we're sending out going into people's junk folder and spam filter. So yes, we're working on that. Mark Webb, what's up, my brother? I talked to Mark Webb earlier today. His son Nate won the youth panfish division last night. And I asked Mark if Nate slept with his trophy last night. He goes, "You bet he did." So super excited. Nate was just, he's such a good kid, and I've had the pleasure to fish with him and his dad a couple times, and he's into it. And winning something like that is only going to fuel that fire. I love it. Rick Donchik, it's like a spinner bait, but with a 1/4 ounce jig head with a rubber paddle tail. Oh, gotcha. So, all right. So instead of the skirt on the jig head, it's just a swim bait. Very nice. I sent you a picture of the. Okay. Huh. Interesting. It's very simple. It's funny. If you showed this to most people, they'd be like, "Oh, well, that's a bass lure. That's not a walleye lure." Fish don't know the difference. Oh. You can kind of see it right there. So there's the jig, there's the jig head, there's the small wire arm, and there's the blade right there. Very reminiscent of a beetle spin, just a little bit bigger. 1/4 ounce jig head and what looks to be a 3.5 inch paddle tail. And so makes sense when Rick says he was throwing it up in 3 foot of water. It's a nice light little bait. The underspin jig head is all the rage nowadays. That would be what you would call an overspin. The blade's on top like a spinnerbait would be, as opposed to underneath the jig head. Excellent. Not a bait you would see. Listen, if you went around to all the different walleye tournaments and derbies in the country, you might not find that one is a winning lure, but excellent job. Rob Snyder, great job. Unfortunately, I could not participate due to work, although I was working on the lake and was able to watch the event and visit one of the way stations. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome, Rob. Troy could not have said it better, man. Thank you. Mark Webb, I have the domains. I thought we did. I thought we did. Thank you. Paul Horacek, part of the PA Boy crew. And one of the PA boys in this crew took second place in the panfish division, Larry Melnick. It was so great to see all my friends from Pennsylvania. We had a lot of Pennsylvania anglers today too, this week too. Matter of fact, they were the only other state represented this time other than New York. Paul Horacek, Matt, thank you, and all that were involved in running a successful derby. We all from PA had a great time. It was great to see the big smiles on all that won. Keep up the good job. Right on, brother. So, spend the last 10 minutes and If everybody hasn't seen the leaderboard yet, it is up. It's staying up. There's, I'm also tomorrow. I will send out the official press release after the Derby to the news station. We were on Channel 9. From what I understand, Sunday. I didn't see it. If anybody saw it, let me know. The other morning, Wednesday, Thursday morning, I did a live call in with Dave Allen on WSYR News Radio 570 here in Syracuse. We did a 4 or 5 minute interview on the phone. Wonderful. Dave is incredible. I'll send this out to the radio stations, TV, and newspaper here in Syracuse, and we'll have the results posted there as well. So real quick, I'd like to go through them again. If you were at the award ceremony yesterday, you can put me on mute because I'm going to say the same thing I did yesterday. But let's go through it real quick. Let's start with the optional leaderboards. Optional leaderboard number 2, the women's. We had 36 ladies participate. First place went to Deb Pollock with a 23-inch walleye. Deb has had a run last year in WalleyeFest. She placed in the top 5. I think she was 4th. This year she won the women's optional leaderboard and placed in the top 10 in the open leaderboard, the main one. In second place, Kelly Woods. She had a 20 1/4 inch walleye. So Deb for first place, she won $139.54. Kelly for second place won $76.46. And Diana Beals and her husband, Jim, both were fishing pretty hard. Diana brought a fish into me personally at South Shore Boat Ramp. I think it was Sunday morning. And I measured it and I entered it into my phone and I entered it incorrectly. And about an hour afterwards, after I'd updated the leaderboards, I got a text from her and she said, "Matt, you put my fish in at 20 1/2 inches. And it was, if you look at the picture again, it was 20 1/4. And she was 1,000% right. And I went back and reviewed it. And again, she was right. And I'm like, okay, so I fixed my mistake. By fixing that mistake, it put Diana into a tie with Kelly for second place at 20 1/4 inches. And the tiebreaker, as everyone knows, is the time that the fish was entered. So Kelly was already on the leaderboard at that point. And so Diana went down to third place because of her honesty and her integrity. She called me on the mistake. She had already seen it and she called me on it and I fixed it and it cost her second place. And I was so taken back by her honesty and integrity that I made up an honorable mention prize for her, and I gave her the honorable mention prize for the women's at 20 1/4 inches. And I was very proud. Anybody can make a mistake, and I did. I put it in at 20.5 instead of 20.25. Those are the stories that reaffirm our faith in people, in humanity, in the good nature of people, and I believe in the goodness in everyone. So much so that my wife and some of my friends call me naive sometimes. I'm okay with that. I always give people the benefit of the doubt and multiple chances, and I still don't ever want to believe people do things intentionally to defraud or to hurt or to anything, and Diana really restored that, and it made me smile and it made me happy, and and I was thankful that she did. And I wanted to make sure she got a little prize, and now she got a little accolades. If you know Diana, next time you see her, shake her hand, tell her great job on all fronts. It was a beautiful fish. She did a great job, and she really, in my opinion, emulated the essence of WalleyeFest. All right, the kayak division. I thought this was going to get more traction. I personally reached out to every kayak club I could in New York and throughout the Northeast. Most of your kayak fishing clubs are bass orientated or bass only. Um, so we're going to change that because last year I thought I had 10 or 12 people at least say, hey, what about a kayak division? Kayak fishing is incredibly popular. We only had 5 people in it this year, but that's okay. In second place, every one of the optional leaderboards, because they all had less than 500 participants in it, all of the optional leaderboards paid the top 2 places, according to the payout schedule listed on the homepage of the website. Number 3 was the kayak division optional leaderboard. Number 3, we only had 5 kayak anglers participate. In second place was Jamie Kosecki. He had a 16 3/4 inch walleye, and that got him second place. In first place, Mike Hayes. I'll get to Mike more in a few minutes. Mike had an outstanding weekend, and he obviously was ready. He was zoned in. He fished Saturday morning during the night and all Saturday night. When I talked to him on Sunday to notify him that he was one of the people that got pulled to do a polygraph test, he'd stopped fishing about 8:30 in the morning. He was at his daughter's volleyball tournament over at the fairgrounds, and as soon as he got done, hustled back to the pier, took his polygraph with our great polygraph guy Herb from CNY Polygraph, and made it in time for the award ceremony. Again, more on Mike in a minute. Mike won the kayak optional leaderboard with a 22-inch walleye. Wasn't much money in it because we only had five participants in it, and so Jamie won $10.62, and Mike won $19.38. Again, Mike's. We'll talk more about Mike shortly. Number 4 was the charter customer optional leaderboard, and that is for, just as the name says, that is for customers. Oneida Lake, currently, I'll bet you there's 30 or 40 professional charter captains on Oneida Lake, and I wanted something just for them. I'm a charter captain. I have been since I was 24 years old. I've been a guide all those years as well, and so it's near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to do something for just the customers of all those charters that are out there. We had 8 people sign up, 8 customers sign up for that. I kind of look. In second place was Chad Dietrich. I got to look and see who Chad was fishing with. I know, and I can't remember right at the moment. He was in second place. He took second place with an 18-inch fish. And Chad was so generous when I talked to him today about sending him out his money and his prize. He's donating both of them back for next year to the kids division. So there'll be a little extra bump in the money for the kids' prizes next year, and his prize will go to the kids next year. Very generous. Thank you so much, Chad. In first place, Chris Gage with a 22-incher, and I'm positive that Chris was fishing with Captain Nick Sokolowski, Soko Charters. Also, Nick, one of our great sponsors. Where is right there. So outstanding job, Chris and Chad both. Chris Gage's 22 incher got him $31.01. Chad's was $16.99. Okay, moving on. Our first responder board. I don't have all the math done on this yet, but we had 36 people join this board. This is the optional leaderboard that I said that WalleyeFest would donate our part of the proceeds from that board to the Syracuse PBA fund for the 2 fallen police officers that were tragically killed back in April weeks ago. The PBA has a fund going for both of those families, and we changed the name to a memorial for them, and we will stay with that every year going forward for as many years as I'm still doing this. We will donate to the to those 2 families. Now, this is again one of those things. I told you earlier about Diana Beals and her honesty and integrity. Her husband James is a Navy veteran. He was fishing in the first responders military optional leaderboard. We had 36 people in there. We had 36 people fish it. In second place, Jimmy Newardowski. Actually, I've known Jimmy since he was, 10, 12 years old. I used to shoot trap with his dad. Jimmy lives right directly across the river from me. He is currently a Syracuse police officer, and one hell of a walleye fisherman, let me tell you. His dad was one of the best. His dad has passed on, unfortunately, a couple years ago. Dave was a great guy, excellent fisherman. Jimmy learned from some of the best, and he had a 23 incher that got him second place in the first responder board. 76-46 is what his winning was. Jim Mitchell won the board. Jim and Diana are together. They were fishing together. Jim had a 23 3/4 inch for $139.54. If I had my pen here, so let's see. Let's do some math homework. I can figure out exactly. Oh, let's do it on a calculator. Minus. All right, so WalleyeFest is going to donate $144. The Fallen Outdoors, my friend Dennis Ustenich up in Sandy Creek. The Fallen Outdoors is a Facebook group that is nationwide, and they take veterans, both able and disabled, on different kind of hunts and fishing trips all over the country. They sponsored that board for $500. So we're going to add that 500 to the 144 that we already have. So that's 644. And when I talked to Jim today and got his information so I could send him his money, he said, Matt, thanks, but no thanks. I'd like to donate that back to the cause and give that to the officers. So Jim's winnings were 139.54. So that means that we're going to donate to the PBA fund on behalf of Jim Mitchell and WalleyeFest and all of our great participants. The Fallen Outdoors, our sponsor for that, $783.54. That's what we're donating. That's what we're going to be donating for them. Jim, thank you, Dennis, in the Fallen Outdoors. Writing this down right now. 783.54. And listen, money can't bring back their loved ones. Money can't bring back the officers, but every little bit's going to help. Um, Life doesn't stop, unfortunately, when you lose somebody, and neither do the bills, and neither do the responsibilities. And I know one of those men had a family with young children that they've lost their dad, and none of us can stand by and let them lose anything else. So we're going to do a little bit, and we're going to help out. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of that. All right. Optional leaderboard number 6 was the shore division. I thought, and this isn't going anywhere. I thought this was going to be a bigger division than it turned out to be. This was the first year. We're going to build up to it. But one of the things that was in my mind, we have fairly good public access to our lake, and in the springtime especially, there is well, like I said, the number 8 fish of the board was caught from shore. Um, there were some excellent opportunities from shore around our lake, and in the spring, there's no reason to think that you can't catch a big walleye. Excuse me, from shore. We had 8 customers sign up for the board. We only had 1 fish measured. Now, somebody like Drew, because he just didn't enter that board. If he would have, he'd have won both, because Luke Roberts won it with a 16 and a half incher. Now, that board was supposed to pay 2 places. It didn't, because there was only 1 fish measured from that board. So I combined those 2 together, and Luke is getting all $48 of that prize money. It was supposed to be $31.01 and $16.99, so he's going to get all $48, and I thank him for participating and for catching a nice walleye. Let's see. Okay. Number 7, the best 5. This is where things start to get a little more interesting. The best 5 had 57 people in it. That I thought was pretty great too. And this board was for your best 5 walleyes measured over the course of the whole 36-hour derby. And a couple people came right out swinging in the first 4 hours Saturday morning, from 12:01 to 4:30, 5 o'clock. There were a couple people that found fish, and they were on them fast. In second place, the second time you've heard this name already this evening, Mike Hayes. And again, Mike won the kayak division, and that means that he was only fishing from his kayak all weekend long in some gnarly weather. He was tucked into a couple places where maybe boats wouldn't have went into. He found them. And Mike took second place. Now, we had talked all leading up to this that what was it going to take to win the best 5 board? And right off the bat, I thought it's going to take, I was in the 100 inches is kind of that, that's 520 inches over the course, on average, over the course of 2 days. I thought it was going to take more than 100 inches, but that was the over-under line. Both first and second in this came in just over 100 inches. Mike Hayes was 104 3/4 total, and in first was Hayden Newcomb at 106 1/4. And again, I talked to you already about Hayden. He ended up coming in second in the main board with that big 26 plus incher. That's what put him up in front of Mike, because up until then, if it would have been anything, remotely normal of a fish in that 22 to 24 inch range, he'd have lost by this much. He got him. He got it, and he did it. Mike Hayes won $242 for second place, and Hayden Newcomb won $441.86 for first place. Now, again, we had a bunch of show you something. some of the prizes. I've got a few laying around still that people weren't there yesterday to pick up. Um, I had a whole pile of additional prizes that went out to uh, different places that fit, different people that placed in each board. Um, and we had some incredible prizes. I told you about the JT rods that we gave away in the women's division. I forgot to mention this. First place got one of these incredible catch bump boards. And if you can see up in there, up in the bump, they put the WalleyeFest logo in there. Pretty awesome. So first place in the women's division got one of those catch boards. Second place got in a Pisa Regional, right there, in a Pisa Regional, $50 gift card. We're gonna have an incredible dinner down there for $50. In the kayak division, we had a $50 gift card for first place for a Pisa Regional, and for second place, we had one of those big metal relief signs that I had made. I don't think I have any left. I gave them all out. Everybody loved them. One of those big metal signs. The charter board, again, first place had a Pisa Regional $50 gift card. Second place had a tackle pack and a T-shirt and a goodie bag from B Hammer Tackle. My friend Brian Hammond. B Hammer Tackle, right there. The first responder board, first place Jim Mitchell. He won a brand new donated by our great sponsor. Where is it? Eyes Guys Fishing Supplies out in Constantia. They're in the old Velas Plaza, which is now Buckingham's, right between the grocery store and the bank. So go check them out. It's a great new store. They just opened last year. They're getting lots of good stuff in, so give them a try. Give them a try. They donated 3 30-pound thrust, 30-inch shaft, transom mount, Minn-Kota trolling motors. Unbelievable. So Jim Mitchell, even though he donated his prize money, he got a great prize in a new trolling motor. And in second place on that one, hold on. Stuff's falling everywhere. Another one of our great sponsors that I mentioned already, Nick at SoCo Outdoors, donated one of the bump boards. So second place in the first responder, Jimmy Norodowski, he's got a SoCo bump board coming to him. In the shore division, we had a $50. There was only one person, so we had a $50 gift card for a Pisa Regional. We're now at number 7. So in addition to the money that Hayden and Mike won, Hayden took home one of those trolling motors, and for second place, a B Hammer Tackle prize pack. In position, optional leaderboard number 8, which was the most keepers, and I didn't write those numbers down. The 2 from the previous optional leaderboard flip-flop. Mike Hayes won with most keepers. He had over 500 inches of keepers. He must have caught, what did he tell me? 25, 26 fish keepers in 2 days. Outstanding day. And Hayden Newcomb came in second in that board. Hayden had 250 inches total, 2 and change. I don't have the exact number right here in front of me. So now we get to the yellow perch division. We had 122 people sign up for the yellow perch division. It's safe to say that the yellow perch optional leaderboard will never go away. And why would it? It makes perfect sense. Walleyes are just toothy perch to begin with. They're in the same family. Everybody loves catching dragons. And you catch a lot of them while you're walleye fishing, not trying to perch fish necessarily. So in second place, Brian Albanese with a 12 3/4 inch perch, beautiful big perch. He won $259.13. and his additional prize was one of these amazing. Matter of fact, this is his board because he wasn't there. No, this might not be his, but he won another one of these catch boards. In first place, Darcy Simmons, who was fishing with Captain Jason on Real Naturals Charter Service. She won that 6'6" JT Rods ultralight panhandler, as well as $472.87. A heck of a day. And the funny thing about Darcy is, so I met Darcy last winter at the New York State Sports Show, and I had those JT rods there, and she looked at that rod that she won yesterday twice, and she looked at it and messed with it, and she was on the fence. She's like, I really want this, and she ended up waiting and not getting it, and 5 months later she won it. How awesome is that? Number 10 was the panfish division. Larry Melnick, one of the PA boys, took second with a 9.5-inch bluegill sunfish. I'm not sure which one. I know the winning fish was a crappie. Larry took home $87.08, along with a B Hammer tackle pack. And in first place, Steve Raymond with an 11 3/4-inch crappie took home $158.92, and another one of those beautiful JT rods. So, real quick now, we will go through the top 25 in the main leaderboard. We had 883 people participating in this board. I'm talking too much, as you can tell. I start to get a little hoarse. Last year, we had Aaron Lussier. I just looked at this comment. Definitely would love a team division next year. There will be teams. There will be teams coming. We will have a team portion. We will have angler, co-angler that would be mixed. So we have those coming. Believe me. Last year, we had two fish tied at the lead, first and second at 24 inches. This year, it took 22 inches just to make the board. And the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fish, the bottom 8 from 18th to 25th were all 22 inches, and they were separated by the time that they were caught. In 25th, Jeff Santamau got himself $71.50 for a 22-incher. In 24th place, Mike Marr, also at 22 inches, got himself $81.50. 23rd place, Matthew Prey at 22 inches, got himself $81.50. Dale Shoemaker in 22nd place, got himself $81.50 for a 22-incher. Chris Gage, again, remember that name, Chris Gage. He was in the main leaderboard. Everybody's in the main leaderboard. And he also won the charter customer leaderboard. That's the goal of WalleyeFest, is to have you be able to win or place in as many of those leaderboards as you choose to get into. And in the first year, it worked perfectly because we had multiple people win or place in multiple optional leaderboards along with the main board. And that's my point. My partner Chuck and I, we say it to ourselves all the time. We want to overgive to our customers. So that's part of it. And being able to win multiple things. And also increasing your odds to win something. That was Chris Gage. Mark Berger, my friend Mark Berger from Onondaga County Soil and Water Department, and also the gentleman that brought me to the 9-element plan meeting, talking about the Oneida Lake watershed. This is something you will hear me talk about more and more. We can have all the great fishing we want in the whole wide world in Oneida Lake. If the watershed is not being taken care of, and the water that drains through our watershed and leaches into our lake, if that's running through contaminated areas and whatever, if the water coming in is no good, the fishing is going to be no good, and we're going to lose our lake. And so people like Mark and the great people in the 9 Element Plan, which encompasses 9 counties surrounding Oneida Lake, they're the ones that are protecting our water quality for the future. Without quality water, you don't have quality fish. You don't have any fish. So congratulations, Mark. He was so ecstatic. He's fished for years. He said he'd been on the leaderboard on the first day before, but never won anything. He got it done. So Mark's 20th place got him a $100 bill for a 22-inch fish. Ken Fishman in 19th also won $100 for his 22-inch fish. Mike Hayes. Mike Hayes, this is now the 4th time we've mentioned Mike's name. That 22-incher that Mike caught that anchored his big fish or his best 5 and that won him the kayak division. That 22-incher put Mike also, because he was the first one to catch a 22-incher and win the tiebreak, that put him in 18th place, and he won $100. Mike had an excellent derby. He should be commended and applauded. He had a hell of a weekend. Excuse me. In 17th place at 22 and a half inches, Clarissa Morse, that won her $100. I'm going to turn my volume down so we don't keep hearing all the beeping and blinking. Vinny Shepard, local guy, lives right here in Central Square, 22 and a half inches in 16th place. Vinny is no stranger to the old Lions Club Derby, or now he's been in both years of the WalleyeFest. Vinny told me, and I was a little surprised. Vinny's an excellent fisherman. He won $100 for his 16th place fish that was 22 and a half inches. 16th, he said to me yesterday, was the highest he's ever finished in this derby. So congratulations. Alexander Romanenko had a 22 and a half inch walleye. It got him 15th place for $110. David Matthews, who we were joking that was out on tour because he wasn't there yesterday at the award ceremony. David had a 22 and a half inch walleye as well. 14th place, $120. William Bush had a 22 and a half inch walleye. Good for 13th place and $150. John Sawicki was in 12th with a 22 and 3/4 inch walleye that got him $190. Jimmy Nowodowski finished second in the first responders leaderboard. His 23-inch walleye was good enough for 11th place and $230 in the main board. John Fippen, another local product from here in Central Square, had a 23-inch walleye that was good for 10th place and $290. Deb Pollock, who won the women's division with this 23-inch walleye, was good enough to take 9th place in the main board for $360. Excellent job, Deb. Nice weekend. Drew Welke, who I talked about earlier, only caught one fish all weekend, and it was 23 1/4 inches, good enough for 8th place and $440. Fantastic job, Drew. Good luck, Drew. Joseph Pisani had a 23 1/4 inch walleye, got him 7th place for $550. Jeff Coppola had a 23 and a half inch walleye that was good for 6th place and $700. Jim Mitchell, who won the first responders board, his 23 and 3/4 inch walleye was good enough for 5th place in the main leaderboard. Nice double dip there, James. Fantastic job. That netted him $850. That's fantastic. In 4th place with a 23 and 3/4 inch walleye was Don Burdick. That fish was worth $1,000. Our top 3 in 3rd place with a 24 and 1/4 inch walleye that got him $1,300. Paul Newton. Great job. Great job, Paul. Paul Newton. In 2nd place with a 26 and a half inch walleye, good for $1,600. Hayden Newcomb. Now, like I said, Hayden finished second in the main board. He finished first in the best 5, and he finished second in the most keepers. That's an awesome weekend. Absolutely outstanding weekend. I didn't do his total yet payment, but I mean, it's 16 to, I'll bet you about $2,200, not to mention all the prizes he got too. That's so he was in 3 and he placed in 3. That's the idea. That's the way. That's why we do it this way. So you can be in multiple and you have a chance in multiple. I couldn't be happier with how these results have turned out this year. And in first place, we've talked about him all night. Let's give him a big round of applause. What an outstanding job. 27.25-inch walleye for first place in the 2024 WalleyeFest Derby, Rick Donchik. Excellent job, Rick. I'm the only one clapping. Just pretend there's a whole bunch of people. All told, we gave out $13,641.50 in cash, not even counting how much money we gave out in prizes. And the kids, why don't I have the kids written down? I did the kids yesterday. I know for a fact because I handed them all their stuff. Excellent question that I can't answer right at the moment. But I will. It'll all be posted. It's still on the leaderboards. So it's an hour and a half. I've talked way too long, but that's the recap for WalleyeFest, everybody. Oh, Don Terry, I saw you on the news, Matt. Jeff Villan, I don't know how to say your last name, Jeff. Jeff V had a great time, even though the weather sucked. I know. Aaron Lussier, I was so close to the top perch. I know. Team division. Yep, we will. I was so close in the perch board, a 1/4 inch short. Oh, I hear you. I missed the old licenses. Yeah. First time you got wet, first time you were duck hunting and you fell in or tipped the canoe over or something and everything got wet and you try to peel it apart and dry it out. Anyway. All right, everybody. Anybody got any questions? I've been talking for an hour and a half. I'll take some questions real quick. We're going to have, if you have pictures and videos from this event, send them to Oneida Lake WalleyeFest Derby at gmail.com. That's our email address. Send them to that. Courtney and I are going to start putting together a video scrapbook of the event that will be posted all over. Bill Morey, thank you for all your hard work getting this off the ground. Congratulations on a fantastic derby. Thank you, Billy. Thank you for all your help. You couldn't have done it without the people that helped. I just couldn't. I tried, but I couldn't. So, I got Jeff V. I got on late. Any idea why numbers were down? Yeah, I know exactly why they were down. There were some people that were unhappy with the changes that I made, and they decided not to participate, which is their absolute right, and I support that. And also, we had some technical issues that were on us. Listen, both sides contributed to some of this, the anglers and the tournament. It was our first go round, and there were some hiccups and bumps. And I'll tell you, on Friday night, there was a lot of people trying to get in on Friday. Now, I'm not going to preach to anybody. as the promoter, I would love to see everybody buy their ticket weeks in advance, and then that way I don't have to worry and stress if what's going on. That's not the way it is. Last year we had half of our field um, sign up in the last 2 days. This year we had not quite half, but pretty close. And I'm confident that we would have been right where we were last year, if not a little more, had we been able to make the registration process a little simpler. So that's on us. And the people that didn't get in or couldn't get in time, um, I apologize, and I hope you will try again the next derby we do. I really do. I don't want to lose anybody. Quite the opposite. I want to bring everybody together, and I want to bring everybody in. Um, and I don't ever want to exclude anyone. So I hope you accept my apology, and I hope you try us again in the future. So Mark Webb um, said, I keep hitting that. Lots of late signups last year once the forecast came out. Didn't get that influx this year when the forecast came out. Yeah, a week prior to this year's Derby, the forecast for the weekend was 60s and 70s with a light southeast wind. That changed by almost 20 degrees, drop, and a cold front, and a pretty stiff oscillating wind from northeast to southeast, and a couple times it blew pretty good. So that to me is why we were down. I think that's a safe assumption. So my lighting just changed. Was that me? All right. Anybody else? All right. I'm out of here, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be on the lake. I'll be back to doing our morning fishing report every day, and I hope you join me. I appreciate everybody more than you know, and all the people that I had moments with this weekend, and all the people that came up to me and shook my hand or gave me a hug or took a picture with me and thanked me. It's really quite the opposite. I thank all of you. I thank all of you because without you, there's no me. Um, and I enjoy what I do, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it. Um, and even people that didn't agree or like what I did this year, I still was doing it for them. And honestly, it never. Maybe it's ego, maybe it's naivete. I never thought for a second that people wouldn't like the changes. I just thought that I liked it, so everybody else was going to like it. And listen, live and learn. You can't make everybody happy. We live in a world where everything's pretty much divided 50-50. You know, you either are for something or against something. And I understand that. You know, my intent was never to alienate anybody. It was quite the opposite. So we're going to keep going forward. Where I believe in what I'm doing, so I'm going to keep doing it. I had 883 people that liked it and participated in it, and that's pretty awesome. I think too many derbies around the country that get 883 people, and that's a down year. So we're good. We're good, and we're going to get better all the way around. And we're going to and my partner Chuck and I are committed. I can tell you right now, we're committed to making this good, better, best every single year. Better, 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 bigger, better, more. Um, I had a ton of people tell me yesterday and today already that they've already booked their accommodations for next year in advance. May 3rd and 4th, 2025. Be there, be square. That I love. Families. I talked to Farmer Tim yesterday. Him and his lovely wife and daughter, and they had a couple other friends. They were on the boat, and once they started telling me their stories, um, you could just see that joy in all their faces, and they had some really wonderful moments. And his daughter was like this close. She'd been on the board, I think, most of the first day and got bumped off late the second day, and they were already talking about 25, 2025 and coming back up and doing it all together and looking forward to it. That's what we're doing. That's when I guess that's the essence of when I said before that Chuck and I were taking over the Lions Club Derby. It was really in the essence of keeping the tradition alive and keeping that something to look forward to. And opening weekend of walleye season is special here in upstate New York and on the Oneida Lake. And we're trying to keep it special and make it more special, specialer, super special, the best. Um, that's our goal. That's our goal. Keith Horns, I'm buying a boat for next year. All right. I'll sell you a nice StarCraft. I got to sell my boat if anybody wants it. I don't really want to. I love it. I don't want to part with it. I mean, I'll go get another one. If anybody's interested, hit me up. It's fully loaded, comes with everything. It's funny you just mentioned that because I do have to get it sold, and I have to get into my next one. But I love it. I love it. It's the nicest fishing rig I've ever had. It does everything I want and more. So anybody that does or is interested will get an amazing boat. Anyway, I've talked long enough. See you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great evening tomorrow morning. Love you. Keep your tip up. How do I get out of here?